Good day and welcome to the Alberti-Base, where we learn fun things about computers and electronics, and while we're at it, use them in some cool projects. Today I'm going to talk about the number 7.1, eSports, and this funny image I found on the internet. Let's get to that. This is the image I'm talking about. It's one of those 2000 IQ memes that very few select people can understand by just looking at it. If you understand this image without me saying anything, that I believe puts your IQ in like the low 1900s up to close 2000s range, is somewhere around there. If you understand it after I explain it, well, that I guess it puts you down at like 1300. Welcome to the Alberti-Base, where I rate your IQ based on your understanding of a picture. Anyways, so for those of you that don't get this picture, this is the Doppler effect. It's really funny if you understand the Doppler effect. Now I can give a long explanation as to what exactly the Doppler effect is, and you all know that's coming in anyway, but I can also explain the Doppler effect using just one word. Listen to me, I'm going to explain the Doppler effect using just one word, and it goes like this. Me-yong, e-yong, e-yong, e-yong. Anyone here ever had a really fast car or a motorbike or something driving past them on the street? Well, then you're probably familiar with the sound I just made. The Doppler effect simply describes how your perception of a sound can change due to the relative velocity of your ears and the source of the sound. Because sound waves are basically created in vibrating air, when a sound source is moving, it also compresses those waves in the direction it's moving. So when the source is moving towards you, well, the sound you are hearing is actually a bit higher than the sound originally created by the source. And if the source is moving away from you, well, the sound you'll hear is a bit lower than the created sound. And this explains the sound me as it's moving towards me, yo as it's right with me, and yo as it moves past me, for like anything moving, really. Now, for those thinking, well, that still doesn't explain the picture, well, the Doppler effect is not only applicable to sound, it's basically applicable to any kind of waveform, including electromagnetic waveforms, and that includes light, hence the picture. So red has the lowest wavelength of all the visible light in the spectrum, and blue has the highest wavelength. Therefore, in theory, as this car is approaching the man, well, it would, even in real life, appear a little more blue, and as it drives away, the appearance is a little more red. And so obviously, now that I'm killing the joke, well, that image, you're thinking, well, I've never seen this happen in real life. Well, you're right, because it doesn't happen that way in real life, because the effects when moving at a visible speed are so minute, you can't really see them. Now, there we go, I've killed a joke. Another joke died because I had to explain it to people who don't understand it. Yes, welcome to the Alberti-Base, where we kill jokes. So the real question here, and I mean, if your IQ is somewhere in the 2100 range or above, well, then you should be asking the real question here. And the real question is why a computer nerd like me is talking about boring physics. Well, that's a great question. And the reason is because the Doppler effect and some other sound-related things all have a lot of relevance to the computer world and how computers actually produce audio. Now, our bodies were made in an amazing way. Looking at your hearing alone, you're able to hear the exact direction a sound is coming from, even with your eyes closed. Now, one would think that with two ears, you can only distinguish between left and right. But the way our ears are shaped allows us to distinguish between sounds that are coming from all around us. We're able to do this because our ears pick up on the extremely subtle differences in the waves that bounce around in your ear shell. So the shape of your ear actually has to do with the way you interpret sound. Now, in a cinema, the effect of computer surround sound is extreme. When you're watching Star Wars, you can literally hear those spaceships coming from behind you, across your shoulder, and into the screen where you can see the movie. Now, for the people who make the movie, this is relatively easy to do, as in a cinema, where the people have paid really a lot of money to build it, well, there are speakers all around you. There are speakers behind you, speakers next to you, and speakers in front of you. So for me to play a sound behind you, I literally just play it from the speaker situated behind you, and I let these fancy mechanics built into your ears do the rest of the work for me. Now, several people liked this surround effect so much that they wanted to put it into their own homes. Now, this is where theatre standards and protocols came from. Anyone could build a home theatre and place a bunch of speakers around a couch. And thanks to all these protocols, well, all the rich people with a bunch of fancy speakers are able to hear the movies all around them within the comfort of their own home. You may have heard the numbers 5.1 and 7.1 in a home cinema context before. These are standards developed by Dolby, defining the arrangement of your speaker setup. In a 5.1 setup, you have a speaker directly in front of you, speakers to your left and right, and speakers left and right behind you, as well as a subwoofer for those bass sounds. In a 7.1 setup, you have all the same speakers as in a 5.1 setup, but adding to the 5.1 setup is a front left and front right speaker as well for that extra surroundiness. I mean, that on its own is great, and I don't want to be the guy complaining, but what if I'm wearing headphones? As a gamer myself, good audio is like one of the most important aspects of gaming. You need to be able to not only hear footsteps, but also where they're coming from. And unless you're crazy and build yourself a 7.1 home cinema to play your games on, well, you probably play these games with only a pair of headphones like my own. Now, most headphones truly are limited to a left and a right channel, one for each ear. If you're wearing headphones like now, let me just quickly demonstrate that. This would be me speaking to your left, probably more to your left than your right. And this would be me speaking to your right, more so than your left, if this at all worked. Somehow though, people still wanted a way to experience full surround sound on their headsets, and tech companies, eager to make some money, set out to deliver. Now, Razer had a funny take on this with the Tiamat headset. The Tiamat was a pair of headphones that literally had several speakers in the cup all around your ear. And the idea was, well, that they literally had a speaker behind your ear, in front of your ear, and next to your ear to give you actual 7.1 surround sound in a headset. Yeah, several tech guys more famous than me reviewed it, and their conclusion was universally that
it's not good.
Honorable mentions go to 3DO though. Not for their headsets, but for their mic.
What the hell is even that?
The mic that a bunch of those ASMR whispering guys use, and the monster that haunts my dreams. But they do have the idea right. Since the assumption is that you'll be listening to the audio it records with headphones, well, they decided to do that whole waves bouncing around in your ear cup processing thing literally during the recording phase with physical rubber ears. Stay tuned, by the way, for a video where I try to replicate that effect with a condenser mic and a 3D printer. You won't want to miss that. On the non-ASMR front though, things were looking a little less bright, as not everyone can rely on being able to record audio in full surround with a creepy mic. But fear not, because there's still hope. Remember how I said that the cinema could play a sound from behind you, and your ears could determine where it came from all on their own? Well, people who understand the Doppler effect and sound a lot better than I do decided that if your ear could gather that from reality or a 3DO recording, the computer could do some extra work and simulate surround sound using just a stereo headset. All the tiny nuances and bouncing of the waves inside of your ear cup you normally pick up on in reality, well, all that is just generated by the computer now and fed directly into your ears. If you want to experience the full effect of surround sound being fed through a stereo headset, go check out the Dolby Atmos video I'm linking in the description. It's a demo by Dolby themselves. It's really good and it can blow your mind probably. So this kind of begs the final question. What gaming headset is right for me? Is there anything special about those 7.1 surround sound gaming headsets? The answer is kinda complicated actually. Hardware-wise, no, not really, except for the useless Tiamat. All headphones are created equally with only 2 speakers. But some of those speakers are made more equal than others. See, those companies who claim 7.1 surround sound on their headsets aren't that full of bull, else they'd be in a court of law right about now. The really good gaming headset with the fancy 7.1 surround sound, well, they just have really good, really precise, fine-tuned drivers and speakers that are focused on accurately replicating those minute differences I described earlier. The other big difference is to be found in the software. This is why some headsets, like my own, have a USB interface rather than an audio jack. Because companies like Logitech and Razer also spend a bunch of time developing special software. They tune the software specially for their own headsets that get your game audio as crisp, clear and surroundy as you could ever want it. So should you buy a 7.1 headset for gaming? Well, I gave you all the info. Now you can decide. Anyways, that's it for this video. I hope you liked it. It's a bit shorter than some of the others. If you have any questions or cool ideas for me to build, please leave them in the comments. Also, please like and subscribe. Don't miss anything in the future. Thank you for watching. Alberti-Base out.